Amid all the chaos surrounding the exposure of Celia Daniels and Ray Walters' disturbing operation, as well as Ray's death, several key details have slipped through the cracks in Emmerdale. One of those forgotten threads is about to return to the spotlight: Anya. Viewers may recall Anya's first appearance in the village as a young mother discovered hiding inside a van at the depot. After Caleb Milligan found her, Ruby Milligan chose to help her despite Caleb's firm objections, offering her a place to stay and arranging for local doctor Liam Kavanagh to look after her. At the time, no one knew that Anya had only briefly escaped from Celia's control. Ruby cared deeply for her, and the two grew close, but when Caleb made it clear she wasn't welcome, Anya fled with his money. The next time she appeared, she had fallen back into the hands of Celia Daniels' modern slavery ring. Another captive, Beowulf, stepped in to protect Anya, supporting her when she became unwell and covering for her when she couldn't work. As her condition worsened and Ray refused to offer any help, Bear was left powerless, able only to comfort the young mother as she passed away. After her death, Bear was made to bury her body. Without realizing, the grave was on Moira Dingle's land. With police now swarming the village, it seems inevitable that questions about Anya's disappearance and a potentially disturbed burial site will soon come to light. As investigators continue to uncover the truth behind the trafficking operation, Ruby is devastated by the realization that Anya may also be dead. Will the full story of her tragic end emerge when her body is found? Or are Moira's fears about to intensify, knowing Anya was laid to rest on her land, wrapped in one of Moira's own blankets? Graham Foster may be back from the dead, but his heart is still tied to one of his former loves in Emmerdale. Not even death itself has been enough to separate Graham from the woman he cares about. Following his astonishing resurrection, the impeccably dressed villain has returned to the village with unresolved feelings for a past partner. But is it Rona Goskirk or Kim Tate who's caught his eye? If Graham ever signed up to a dating app, it's complicated, wouldn't come close to describing his romantic past. The ex-soldier turned criminal has never experienced a relationship untouched by heartbreak, danger, or destruction. He caused the deaths of his first wife, Cheryl Foster, and their child after crashing the car while drunk on the day of their baby shower. Later came Andrea Tate. Initially hired by Kim Tate to monitor her troublesome son Jamie while she was behind bars, Graham passed the job on to barmaid Andrea. That decision spiraled into Andrea genuinely falling for Jamie, a secret affair with Graham, a disastrous split from Jamie, and Kim becoming Graham's sworn enemy. With such a painful history, it's hardly surprising that Graham struggles to let anyone get close. That's before even mentioning the small issue of him supposedly being dead. For years, everyone believed Graham Foster had been killed by Pierce Harris, Zoe's abusive husband. Then Corriedale happened, and fans were stunned when the sharply dressed sociopath made an unexpected comeback after Coronation Street newcomer Jody Ramsey escaped from the back of his van. Later scenes at Houghton General saw Graham on the phone to an unknown client, calmly explaining that he was calling off their agreement because he had something I need to do. Something or someone. Now poised for a dramatic return to Emmerdale Village, actor Andrew Scarborough has reflected on why Graham remains such a compelling character. He's extremely loyal, Andrew explains. He appears to have a strong sense of right and wrong. Even though he operates in a world full of deception, by the end, there's usually something positive he's achieved. His intentions are often good, even if his methods are questionable, or can be judged as wrong. He adds, I see him as a very grounded man. He's intelligent, observant, protective, and full of mystery. He's like an onion, you keep peeling back layers. I think Sharon Marshall once said, and he makes you cry, which I found hilarious. Not exactly the kind of profile you'd post on a dating website, yet there are two villagers who would gladly swipe yes. One of them is Home Farm's formidable owner, Kim Tate. Graham and Kim's relationship has always been fueled by desire, distrust, and betrayal, but Andrew believes it's far more complex. I was going to call it toxic, he admits, but it's deeper than that. On paper, it looks poisonous, yet there's genuine tenderness. They argue constantly, but there's a powerful love underneath. They're dangerously drawn to each other, like moths to a flame, and at the same time, they thrive on that very fire. That spark has burned fiercely over the years, especially when Kim once instructed Graham to kill her step-grandson, Joe Tate. Instead, Graham secretly helped Joe stage his death and escape the village with £100,000. Unsurprisingly, when Kim later uncovered CCTV footage proving Joe was still alive, her fury toward Graham was immense. Her anger ran so deep that she even became a suspect in Graham's supposed murder. Since he faked his own death to avoid Kim's revenge, it's hard to imagine her ever forgiving such a betrayal. Actor Andrew Scarborough, however, believes reconciliation isn't impossible. Well, if Kim Tate can forgive Joe for harvesting an organ, she could forgive Graham for returning from the dead, Andrew says. If Graham proves his worth by putting a few things right for them, they may come to value his loyalty and expertise again, although it could take a while. So could Kim and Graham eventually reunite? Stranger storylines have unfolded in Emmerdale. As Andrew points out, they're technically still husband and wife. I suppose him being declared dead would mean the marriage ended. But now that he's alive, does that make it valid again? Who knows? Maybe that's something the show could explore in the future. Or perhaps Graham's heart lies with another former love in the village, Rona Goskirk. The determined yet compassionate vet represents the closest thing Graham has ever known to a healthy, genuine relationship. Their powerful connection was repeatedly undermined by Kim's schemes, as well as Rona's abusive husband Pierce, whom Rona believed she had killed until recently. Everything shifted during their unexpected reunion. In an emotional conversation, Graham confessed to Rona that he had staged his own death to escape Kim, and revealed he'd been working for a powerful man, describing his role as someone who fixes problems the police can't. That employer was almost certainly Ray Walters, the ruthless criminal who ran a human trafficking ring alongside his mother, Celia Daniels, and forced Rona's stepdaughter, April Windsor, into dealing drugs. After discovering Ray's true nature, Graham admitted he'd had a change of conscience. With April still missing, he promised Rona he would bring her home safely and swore he wouldn't show Ray the same mercy he once gave Pierce. Rona, of course, is now happily married to Moira Dingle, but could Graham's return upset everything? Andrew Scarborough believes Graham's feelings for Rona are everlasting, much like Graham himself. Who knows, Andrew says. She'd obviously have to forgive him first, and her bond with Marlon is very strong. But Graham truly loved Rona. He spent years moving from country to country, living a very lonely life while doing freelance work. I imagine he still longs for her and may still be in love with her. Watch this space. Will Graham win back the woman he loves? What lies ahead for him? I'm really excited, Andrew teases. I can't say too much, but it does involve parts of his past. Let's just say some things are about to catch up with him. Emmerdale airs weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is available to stream on ITVX.